Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Sorry, just one moment. My daughter's here. Here she is. This is Mariam, my daughter. What did you need? Okay, you can go grab a glass of water. Go ahead. Okay. Muhammad, can you help your sister get some water, please? Thank you. All right, well, my kid's first cameo appearance, I guess. That's my daughter. But salamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Sister Seerah. Thank you for joining us. This is our kid-friendly Seerah series called My Friend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's an 8-part series that we have. It's a special just for Ramadan on Wednesdays and Thursdays to help kids and even adults really learn to love our dear Nabi as a friend and really get to know him. So without further ado, our guest, our narrator today is no stranger to most of you. It is Imam Kamran Islam. Assalamu alaikum, Imam Kamran.
Alaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
It is so good to have you. Thank you so much for making time for this. And inshallah, can you remind us what portion of the Prophet's life are you going to be talking about today?
Yeah, definitely. So today I wanted to talk about the Prophet ﷺ as he grew into adulthood. So the years kind of that made him who he was as an adult and the things that happened. There are many things, obviously, but a few things that happened that I think defined his adulthood and even as that went into his life as a prophet. But I'm not going to talk about him as a prophet today because I feel like what happened before he was a prophet really made the kind of prophet, made the kind of individual that he was later.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's coming up. That's next. Inshallah, next week. It's going to be a cliffhanger today, I guess.
Right.
Okay, so kids, adults, everyone, please settle in and get ready to learn all about the Prophet as a grown-up. So, Bismillah, take it away, Imam Kamran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Young folks, parents, everyone who's tuned in, I begin in the name of Allah, as we should always begin with the name of Allah, with everything that we do, everything that we say, everything that we eat, everything that we see. And I want to just start by saying, since this series is about the Prophet ﷺ, we should be regularly saying Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. We should regularly be wishing goodness and blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad and upon his family members and his family, his companions and those people that were around him. Because really the contribution that he made to our lives and the contribution that they made to our lives is really significant and something we could never really pay back, right? They're already gone. They've already passed this world, but we still gain so much from what they did, especially Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So today I want to go into some of the events that happened during the Prophet's adulthood. Now, for those of you who are younger, you may be thinking, well, why is it important for me to know how he was as an adult? I'm just a kid. Well, actually, how you are as a child and how you are as an adult have a lot to do with each other, right? They're very connected. And the way that you carry yourself, the things that you do as a child, they will directly impact what kind of person you are as an adult. So I want you guys to take a moment and I'm going to ask you guys to think and I'm going to ask you guys to respond, okay? I want you guys to take a moment and think about what kind of adult you would like to be. This is for the children, for the teens if you guys have tuned in, and also even for adults if you want to be a different kind of an adult. I don't know. Ask yourself, what kind of an adult would you like to be? And then ask your mom or dad or whoever's with you, helping you to type in your answer when you have something. I'm going to wait to see a few answers. I don't know, is it on this side or this side? One of these sides. I'd like to see a few answers. So what kind of adult do you want to be? Do you want to be a generous adult? Do you want to be a smart adult? Do you want to be a kind adult? Do you want to be a funny adult? Right? Now, I'm not asking you what do you want to do. I'm not asking you what do you want your job to be. I'm asking you what do you want to be as a person? And this is really important, by the way, as you're thinking of your answer. Sometimes adults, but adults make mistakes, right? We do. It's true. Not always, not very often, but we do, right? And as adults, sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that the job we have is who we are. And so we tell our kids, right? Are you going to be an astronaut? Are you going to be a firefighter? Are you going to be a doctor? Right? It's doctor, lawyer, engineer, right? That's the cutoff, right? No, we say these things as if that is who our child will be, but that's just what our child will do, right, kids? That's what you will do, and maybe you'll do many things. Maybe you'll do many amazing things, but you still have to ask yourself, who am I going to be, right? So now that we've thought about this a little bit, I want to share with you a little bit about who the Prophet ﷺ was becoming. Now, just as a recap, remember what happened last week, not last week, yesterday in our story time with Brother Yusuf. Brother Yusuf talked about the Prophet ﷺ when he was a child and how he moved from one place to another. He kept moving because he was living with this person and then with that person and with that person. And in all of the places that he lived, whether it was with his foster mother or his actual mother or his grandfather or even his uncle, wherever he went, he learned and picked up new characteristics and traits that made him a better human being, that made him a more special and refined human being, right? Now, again, think about yourself too. Wherever you go throughout the day or throughout the weeks or throughout the months, maybe you spend some time with your parents, you spend some time with grandparents perhaps, you spend some time at school, you spend some time at, I don't know, karate or some kind of place where you play, whatever it might be, all of the adults that are around you, you want to look for the good qualities, all of the beautiful things that they do, and you want to make them a part of who you are as well, right? And you know who can guide you on that? Your mom and dad can really guide you. You can ask them, hey, what's something really good about my teacher that I should be? Or something really good about my karate instructor that I should try and take into myself, right? So this is a good way to think about what kind of adult you want to be. So what kind of adult was the Prophet ﷺ? Today, I'm going to share with you two quick stories, all right? And in these stories, we learn about where the Prophet ﷺ spent some of his time, right? And in this, we realize what kind of adult he was becoming. So the first story is about something that the Prophet could not be a part of. And the second story is about something that the Prophet was a part of and made sure that he would be a part of, okay? So one thing he could not be a part of, and another thing that he was definitely a part of. You guys following me so far? All right. So let me just take these off because there's a lot of glare. So the first story, something that the Prophet ﷺ could not be a part of. This is actually when he was a teenager. And the story goes that he used to help to herd some sheep, right? For his uncle or for his other uncles. This was kind of his first job. His first job was actually as a shepherd, right? So he would watch the sheep and he would take them around and make sure that they were fed and cared for and they didn't lose any. And one of those days, as he was engaged in this activity, in this job, he heard about a party that was going to be going on later in the day. And he really wanted to go to this party because he'd never been to this kind of parties before. Now, he wanted to go, but he also couldn't because he had a job to do. And he asked one of his fellow coworkers, right? Hey, would you mind? Could you watch them for a little bit? Watch the sheep, and I can go check out the party. I've never been. I want to see. I want to know what it's about, right? Excuse me. So his coworker, he agrees, and so the Prophet ﷺ is planning to go. And when it's time, he hands over the sheep, and then he starts going. And on his way, he says that I started to feel tired, and so I just sat down and took a rest, and I fell asleep. And by the time I woke up, it was over. So I was like, what is this? And then I realized, well, I can go tomorrow as well. There's going to be another one tomorrow. And so he planned to do the same thing the next day. And on his way there, once again, it's a long walk. He felt tired. So he sat down, he rested. I'll rest a little bit and then I'll go and I feel, better. And he fell asleep again, right? This happened multiple times until he realized, and he's just a teenager right now, right? He's not a prophet, he's not a messenger, he's just a normal kid at this point, and well, a very special kid, but still. And he realized at this point that there's probably a reason why he can't go. He can't get there, right? Now, you should know that this particular party was one of those parties where there was going to be a lot of inappropriate things happening. There was alcohol being consumed and all kinds of, inappropriate and bad behaviors that you really shouldn't go to as a Muslim. But the Prophet ﷺ doesn't know about any of these things. All he knows is I wonder what's going on there, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected him. Right? Sometimes we want to do something, or we want to go somewhere, or we want to, hang out with some people, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He prevents us. He stops us. Maybe He stops us through our parents. Maybe He stops us through school, or maybe He stops us through, I don't know, through homework that we have to do. There's so many reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might prevent us, right? And we get upset, like, why? I really want to go. But look at the Prophet's response. Before he's a prophet, he's just young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, I realized that, it's just probably not worth it going. There's probably a reason why I just can't go, right? And obviously there was a lot of inappropriate things happening, right? So instead of being upset, you can be appreciative. You can say, you know what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously has some other thing in mind for me, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves me so much that He's preventing me from going somewhere because He knows that it might not be good for me, right? Even though I might think it might be good for me, right? I might be completely convinced it might be good for me, right? And by the way, I've personally felt this, right? And for those adults who are here, going through the college admission process, right? When you're trying to get into different colleges, and some say yes and some say no, you feel so upset. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has something better planned for you. And I personally have felt the effect of that. Now, the second story is a story of something that the Prophet was a part of. Again, all of this is before he is a messenger, before he's a prophet. All of this is when he's young. And the second thing was called Hilf al-Fudul. Hilf al-Fudul was actually, it was like a group of people that got together and they made a promise, a commitment. They were like a task force. It's like they were on a mission. They had this mission. And their mission was essentially to make sure that whenever there was injustice, whenever something unfair happened in their city, they would step in and make things right. That was Hilf al-Fudul. How did this happen? How did this start? Well, first of all, in Mecca and in the surrounding areas, when the Prophet ﷺ was young, there were actually some civil wars going on where different tribes were fighting each other and hurting each other and even killing each other. And it was senseless war. It didn't have to happen, but it did. And the Prophet ﷺ did not like this, right? Many of the young folks at the time did not like this. On top of that, even after the wars, there was some ill feelings between certain groups, and there was lots of unfairness that was happening in the city of Mecca. And in one of those events, a man from Yemen, Yemen it's like a different part of the world than where Mecca is, right? So there's a man from Yemen. He came to Mecca. He wanted to, do some business. He brought some items. He sold these items to a man from Mecca. And he gave him the items, but then the man said, hey, I'll give you your money tomorrow. And then tomorrow came and he didn't give him the money. Tomorrow. And the next day came, he still didn't give him the money. And this happened for a few days until the man from Yemen realized that he had been cheated. The guy's not going to give me my money. He took all my stuff and he's not going to pay me. That's thieving. That's theft. That's stealing. That's wrong, right? And he started to complain to a few people. But, the man who took the stuff, he took his stuff without paying. He was like, what's he going to do? He doesn't have any relatives in Mecca. He doesn't have any supporters. He doesn't have any friends here in Mecca. Who's going to help him? Forget him. I'll just take his stuff, right? And so this Yemeni man, he went to the middle of the city and he started to complain out loud and say, you people of Quraysh, you say that you're the protectors of Mecca, but you let this happen on your watch. And who's going to protect someone like me? And he starts kind of making this complaint. And so young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and many of the other youth in that area, they came together and they started this treaty, this group, this club called Hilf al-Fudul. And they made sure that the guy got his money And they made sure that if anything else were to happen in the city of Mecca that was unfair, it didn't matter if you were wealthy or powerful or strong, they were going to help and intervene and make sure that justice was served. It's interesting, right? Both of these things that happened to the Prophet ﷺ sound like they're so deeply connected to Islam, even though both of them happened way before he was ever a prophet, right? It's because, like I said, what happens to you as a child affects who you are as an adult, and as an adult, it affects who you are later on. So be conscious and be mindful of who you make yourself become. Who do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? So I want to conclude with a very simple kind of lesson for you from both of these stories. The lesson is this: just because somebody else or everyone else is doing something, that doesn't make it right. Again, just because somebody else, or maybe even a lot of other people, or maybe everyone is doing something, that does not make it right. Just because everyone's on TikTok doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do, right? Just because everyone wears this kind of shirt, that doesn't mean that's the right thing to do. Just because everyone has their hair like this, or their face like this, or their shoes like this, or they're talking like this, it doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do, guys. The way we find out what the right thing to do is not by asking, what is everyone else doing? We ask, what do good people do? We ask, does this make Allah happy? Because if it makes Allah happy, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks down at you while you're doing this and is satisfied with you, that makes it right. If it makes you a better person, that makes it right. And the last thing you can think about is if it helps other people, then that might make it right, right? So to conclude today, guys, just because some people are doing something that doesn't make it right, make sure you ask yourself, what is actually true, what is actually right, what is actually the best thing to do, and where should I be spending my time so that I become the kind of person that I want to become as I get older. Now that I've concluded the session, I want to ask you guys one last question, and Sister Sarah is going to join us as well. The question for you is this: where was the man who was complaining, who somebody stole from? Where was he from? See who can remember. Which part of the world was he from? I'll give you a clue. It starts with a Y or a yeah. See if anybody remembers. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Sister Seerah. Jazakallah khair for your attention, guys. I hope these sessions are going to be useful for you in connecting with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Wa thank you so much, Imam Kamran. That was actually a really good reminder for me too, for myself, because I think that this series, subhanAllah, I think that it's not just for the youth. I think that it's for adults. Everybody can take away a lot from this. There's always so many reminders in the life of the Prophet. So I think we have an answer here. Somebody says, Ayub says Yemen. Ayub says, was the man from Yemen?
That's correct. He was from Yemen. Very good. I saw a couple of answers that went in. He was from Yemen, which is south of Mecca. And it is also an area where they speak Arabic. So there are Arab people there even today. And actually, Yemen, some fun facts for you. Yemen is considered to be the homeland of the Arabic people and the Arabic language. It is where Arabness and Arabic originated.
Wow. I did not know that. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a question that came up when you were talking about, how important it is to say salawat, to say peace be upon him, to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam whenever we hear or say the name of the Prophet alaihi salam. So I just wanted to ask, just to remind all of the kids and everybody here, what happens exactly when you say sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Yeah, very good. That's a great question. It's a great question. So let me start by saying this. You have to remember that, like I said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, he's the individual that all of us received Islam through, right? So there's a huge favor that he has for us, right? And we cannot pay that favor back. But when we say sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right, there's multiple things that happen. Number one, we ask Allah to bless the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already bless the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? I mean, yeah, right? So in a way, one thing that you're doing is you're making a dua that is automatically accepted. Number two, by making a dua that is automatically accepted, you are extending those blessings onto yourself. Right? You're extending those blessings onto yourself. The Prophet ﷺ, throughout his life, he made lots of dua for those people who cared for him, even those people that would come after him, right? So we are recipients of the dua of the Prophet ﷺ, even though he's gone. Don't you? If you would want the Prophet ﷺ to make dua for you, I mean, wouldn't you? Right? I certainly would. Right? If anybody's going to make dua, I want the Prophet ﷺ to make dua for me. And on top of that, the angels also make dua for you, right? They send their salutations to you as well. They send their well wishes to you. And even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself responds and he gives his salutations to those who send their salutations there, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to the Prophet. Right? So there's just so many good things that come out of just this little word, sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
That's so awesome, mashallah. I mean, why wouldn't you want to say it after that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much, Imam Kamran, for making time and sharing, those lovely reminders with us. Inshallah, everybody, every Wednesday and Thursday, we have this kid-friendly Seerah series. So we will be continuing next week, inshallah. A couple of reminders before we all go. We do have our Friday spiritual talk tomorrow at 12:45 here on Tarbiyah Live, so please do tune in for that. We have another wellness webinar. I really love the wellness webinars. They're so, so great. We have another one of those coming up on Sunday at 3 p.m., inshallah. We have a youth qiyam on May 8th. So that's going to be on Zoom. You'll want to register. You can go to the Tarbiyah website, or you can email us if you're not sure how to register for that. That's May 8th. It's a youth qiyam. We are continuing our kids programming, of course. On Monday, we have story time with Zainab and Adam Abdulaziz as our special readers. And Tuesday, we'll have a craft session again on Zoom. So that one you can register for online as well. And of course, don't forget to catch us at 9 o'clock tonight and every evening for our messages from the divine. Personally, it's just a really lovely way to start my evening of ibadah for us as a family. So I hope that all of you will do that as well. And as always, you can reach us at info@tarbiyah.org if you have any questions. So thank you for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, see you soon.
Assalamu alaikum.